Everybody, welcome back to another Welcome to the J episode. I am your host, Jahenns Manigat, aka 12, if you know me that way. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Field of 68 Media Network to get more content such as this from other pro athletes, former athletes representing their alma mater, just like I am today representing CU. Our second guest of season 2 of the Welcome to the J podcast is a four-time America East Rookie of the Week as a freshman, starting all 30 games and scoring 11.2 points and 5.4 assists a game. He averaged 13.3 points and 7.1 assists as a sophomore before transferring to CU. He was named second team All Big East and led the team in scoring with 14.1 points per game and 6.5 assists per game. And before tearing his ACL his senior year, he was leading the nation in assists. Since then, he's played pro ball in the Netherlands, in Italy, in Turkey, and currently playing in Poland. And he's actually my teammate. He is the pride of Philadelphia, an Eagles fan. He is WAP, aka Maurice Watson Jr. Welcome to the day,
Welcome.
bro.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing,
I
bro?
saw you at practice earlier. Who would
I
have
know that's
thought?
what I'm saying. Like the first question is what I usually ask is like, how you doing? How you been holding up? But I know exactly how you doing. I just saw you a couple hours ago. Bro, a couple of things I left away from the intro. You were America East All Rookie Team, America East third team, first team Patriot League when you guys moved up to there, Patriot League All Tournament team, All Big East second team junior year, bro. You got a lot of stuff in your resume. How do you feel about it when you hear it all out loud?
I don't really hear it out loud often. I don't really think about it, but I guess hearing it like this, it sounds good. You know what I mean? Like I usually am only thinking about team accolades, but when I start to think about things I've done individually, it's a solid list.
I mean, when you present yourself as a team first guy, which you do, I see it every day in practice. I see it in our games now that I'm your teammate, which is kind of weird, right? Like, let's talk about first and foremost how our relationship graduated from me knowing you as an alumni, cheering for the team, and all of a sudden we're both pro athletes playing in Poland together. Do you want to tell the people how you basically recruited me to come to Torrent or what?
Yeah. So we had a guy leave or whatever, and coach comes to me and he says, "Hey, do you know this guy, Manigat?" And I said, "Yeah, I know who he is." And he said, "Oh, he was offered to me. Can I offer him?" And the first thing that popped into my head was that I've never been on your team as a teammate, which is crazy. Because when you come to open gyms and when you're coming back as an alumni, it's like they always say, "Yo, this is the best defender, best energy guy." So I'm like, match me up against him. So there have been very few open gyms, 5-on-5 workouts where we have been on the same team. So I said, listen, we haven't really been on the same team before, but I know everything about him. So when I text you, it was more so on the lines of, bro, I want to win. Like, we need your energy, which is just infectious. As you can see, these last couple of games, we've really needed you. But just trying to get you to understand that, like, bro, I know it's not ideal, but me knowing how I am as a point guard and knowing the things that you brought to the table from just studying and being a basketball head, I knew that I could help elevate your game as a point guard to help you get to the next level, and then also me to look good as a point guard. To have somebody that was always one of the guys that we looked up to on the team, a guy that Coach Mack used as an example all the time. And, you just don't get these chances in life often, especially with me, with my ties to CU. It was time to get some more positive vibes. And I felt like playing on the same team as you would do that. And of course, with you having your doubts and everything, it was like, man, screw it, bro. Let's just go out here and, and let Guy handle the rest. But me and you can have some fun with this thing. Right. And I think in these 3 weeks, it's been one of my most enjoyable stretches as a pro.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I had my reservations about coming here, especially like when we was talking on the phone. I was still in Canada at the time. I was just waiting on the next deal. When I talked to you, you just laid down what the plan was, what your vision was, and it just made things easy to sign on that dotted line. So I appreciate you bringing me on board so far. For the people who are listening, the people who are watching, we're 5-2 in the season so far. Things are looking pretty good for us. We hope to keep, riding that wave and playing really well. But WAP, I appreciate you, bro. You're a big reason why I decided to come here. And And I was telling this to our producer Jack before you came on, like to a man, whenever I was telling like our coaches, our assistant coaches that I was gonna go play with you, they're like, "Oh, you gonna get some shots. Watson
Yeah.
gonna get you the ball in some good spot." So
You know, I
I
think it's
mean, so
crazy. I didn't
far,
even like when I told Coach about you here. I said Coach didn't want you as what you're typically known for.
mhm,
And a big reason why I also wanted you to come with you to also be able to, I know as pros over here in Europe, they like you more as vets than they do as young guys. And I feel like you're on that verge now of being that vet that's time to bust through the seams. And Coach said, we need somebody that's going to bring the ball up, put the ball in the basket, run the show. And, you know, playing behind Doug, you just kind of naturally fell into that under the radar role. And now, you know, as you could see today, Coach is like, listen, when you're on the court, he's the one, I'm the two. Like now you get to show that you're more than just an energy guy. You're more than just a defender. You get to, you know, we're down by 14 when you check in the other day, and now we go up by, you know, we end up 30-13 in that second quarter. Like these are things where you're on the ball, you're making plays happen. And I think this is the next thing to really show where you are. And for me, I need to be able to take steps back and not try to do everything. And, you know, it's crazy that this is the role you have and this is the role that I have. And it's totally new for both of us. But I think this is the steps we need to do to advance our career. And I think of all the high major guys you could play with, of all the guys I played with in the past, I feel like me and you right now have this just natural connection of this what needs to get done on and off the court, giving me good advice. I mean, even gas station last night, just keeping me settled, you know, when I'm feeling stressed or when I'm overthinking. And I think that's something that people don't notice because it doesn't show up on the scoreboard, you know. And I think that those things are really things that I need to do and learn. So, I mean, even you come here for that, it's more than just on the court thing, just trying to grow as a man. I think having
and
people around.
I take pride in that too. Like I take pride in just doing stuff like off the court, on the court that go beyond the stat sheet, because like a lot of people just look at the end of the games and look at who scored what and who assisted what, and they think that's what it is. But the game of basketball, the brotherhood of what basketball is, goes so far beyond like those four lines. So I mean, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy playing so much is you make all these connections, you create all these new relationships, these new friendships, and you know, over time, you never know, you know, what those seeds are going to grow up to be. For you and I, it was competing when I came back in the summertime, and now all of a sudden we're competing together, trying to win a
Now we're
championship here. So
competing together.
it's all love, bro. I love battling every day with you. It's funny that you mentioned that your dad was just calling you, interrupting the podcast that we're having right now, because you did play for him when you were in high school. And having seen Doug play for Coach Mack and, you know, the stories that came out of that, I understand both like how beautiful it can be, but also the challenges that come with that. So in your experience playing underneath your father in high school, talk to me about like, you know, some of the challenges that could have came with, you know, hearing his voice really all day, every day.
Yeah.
And also some of like the good things that people don't really know about, you know, playing for your father.
Well, you know, some challenges really were that it's challenges that came with success. So as I started to do well in high school, they started to say, oh, it's only because of your dad. Oh, his dad's a coach, so he can do what he wants. You know, and it was more eyes on us because of, you know, we weren't at the high ranked school. I turned down a lot of big time Catholic schools to go play for him. And, you know, we were doing well, and, you know, it was, oh, it's just because it's his dad. And but my dad couldn't put the ball in the basket for me. You know, he made it put me on the court, but I think that was the biggest challenge of what you could see, is that no one tried to give me the credit of me putting the hard work in because of the opportunity that I decided to take. But some of the other challenges were just the standard that he set for me, the bar. It was in high school, it was 25 points or nothing. And I mean, like, we're up 20 against a team and with 10 seconds left, and I have 22. And he puts me back in the game to shoot that last three to get to 25. Right. And I mean, if I didn't get it, I was driving home with my teammates at a point. I wasn't driving home with him. My mom took a lot of that because I would complain to her. Why is he always acting like basketball is all that it is? You know, I didn't get. We had 18 points and we won, but he wanted 25. And I mean, I would read the paper and we would lose, and he would say, "Man, our guards didn't do what they needed to do." But I know he was talking about me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, just those challenges of going home with him afterwards. I don't get the same things in school because he worked there. So I got detention for little things. The other students, because he was also the disciplinarian at school. So it was very hard for me to sometimes make friends, because if they got in trouble, they would automatically, naturally take that out on me.
Right.
Because he's my dad and they can't get to him. So I got into a lot of arguments. There was a lot of guys always giving me dirty looks. But some of the also last negative was that trying to not playing for him anymore. Like I remember him telling me stuff different than what my coaches were telling me. And that was a little line. So even like when after my redshirt year, I wasn't playing at the first 4 or 5 games. And I was trying to score all the time. My dad was always, why are you not scoring? Why are you not shooting jumpers? Why are you not shooting threes? And Coach Mack was like, listen, you have to stop listening to him. You have to worry about passing first and the scoring will come. Trust me, tell your dad that you have to let me do my job. And, he's done a great job with you, but the reality of it is that I'm your coach now. And that was a hard thing for me and him to kind of get through, was that I hear your advice, but I can't always do what you expect me to do. You understand what I'm saying? So, and once I learned that, then the successes came. I started to take his lessons of discipline, of having that standard of every game they're going to come after you for being short. Every game they're going to come after you for being in this position. So you have to make sure your numbers are consistent. So I'm very adamant on me getting my averages per game instinctively, because I know that if I don't have my 10 assists a game, there's a chance that someone may say that he doesn't deserve to be here. And there's always that chance that it could be taken from you. And these are the advantages of playing for him, someone who didn't like the politics of the game, someone tried to shield me from it, and really realizing that he helped me grow as a man. And now I have to go and try to do these things as a man on the court. And, I can lean on him even, after these last couple games, I'm leaning on him. But when it starts to clash with what coach is telling me, I have to kind of fall back. But I mean, playing for him was just, I always say, I have not had as much freedom as I have this year. I have not had, and since I played for him in high school. And I think that says a lot with just how he let me go. And I've had freedom. Like Coach Mack gave me so much freedom, but it just wasn't like, listen, Coach Mack, for somebody who doesn't say much about anything you do, just having that freedom from him really kind of shaped me. So it kind of also, like, the biggest thing I think it did for me, which I'm having to do now as a man, is that it kind of crippled me a little bit, because my dad was my barber, so he cut my hair. So when I go to certain places, I don't know what to say. How you want your hair cut? I don't know. I just sit in the chair and do it.
Oh, right? The struggles of finding a good barber in Europe is. I have dreads now because of that. I have dreads now, so bro, trust me, I know what you're talking about.
Podcast because my hair is not looking like I want it to be.
Right.
But now I have to grow as a man without him always leading me. So, I mean, I couldn't play for certain coaches. I couldn't be in the car with certain people because he knows how dangerous the city was. So, I mean, now I have to kind of maneuver myself as a man. And I'm still growing, and I have kids to lead. I have a team to lead, and I'm also trying to be that better person myself. So there was advantages and disadvantages, but I mean, the pros outweigh the cons, 100%.
Yeah. Before we move, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with BetRivers yet, now's the time, because they're offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With football season kicking off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today, or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So you attended Boston University right after high school. You had a great career there, but obviously you felt a little unfulfilled, which is the reason why you entered the transfer portal. Give me the reasons why you wanted to transfer in the first place, and then after that, some of the schools that you were talking to and why you landed at CU in the end of it all.
So I never wanted to transfer at all. I mean, I chose Boston as a school I would go to if it wasn't for basketball. But the truth of the matter is that my aspirations were much higher than the level that I was at. I was doubted because of my size. And a lot of teams would tell me, hey, a lot of colleges would tell me, hey, if you were 6'2", we would recruit you, but you're 5'10". I'm going to Boston and playing for Coach Joe Jones and playing for some guys that were from Philly, like DJ Irving and, Don Morris. John Holland is from, New York, but he's a good player overseas. But, just playing with some of these guys and learning from some of them guys, I was able to kind of pick up some things. And in order, DJ told me, listen, if you want to go to be at that level, you have to leave as much as you don't want to. I talked to some guys who are now college coaches, Dwayne Killings, Pat Sellers, just some guys I conversed with about my life moves. And they said, if you want to be seen by them NBA scouts, you have to play against them big time names. So I met with Coach Jones, and in that meeting, he recruited me again. And I wanted to stay after the re-recruitment. I wanted to stay. And again, my dad was there. He said, listen, I know you want to stay, but you can't. So my dad made the decision actually for me to go through with the transfer. And, when I decided to transfer, the recruitment from the second time was much different than the first. I mean, the first time I had like Niagara, Harvard, Texas Tech, a lot of low schools, Drexel, Maine, New Hampshire. I mean, these type of schools. But then when I decided to transfer, I mean, I had Villanova, Purdue, Vandy, Syracuse, St. John's, Creighton, Texas. I mean, it was only in the first 5 days that I was able to, receive calls. And Coach Sellers was at Creighton at the time. And he,
of course, my guy,
right? That's my guy right there, right? So he was actually the one who recruited me at Hofstra, and they were in my final two. So when he called me, his name still said Hofstra on my phone, and he said, "Listen, I want to come see you, but I want you to come to Creighton for a visit first." So I said, "Listen, I was talking to Illinois, and they wanted me to come down there, but they would have had to take a scholarship from someone else to give it to me, and I didn't feel right with that. I didn't feel right with that at all. So also looking at Penn State, some of them type of schools, but Coach Sellers said, I'm going to come see you. When can you visit? I said, when you want me to. So my visit was for that Friday. I was to fly out to Omaha. He flew into Boston on Thursday anyway. So he came to my dorm in Boston, and he had the iPad, and he showed me the plane. He showed me the gym. He showed me the city. And I'm like, okay, it looks good. It looks good. It does. Right. But let's see what it's like. And, I'm a little nervous because I don't want to be, I'm always nervous to go to a school where I could be recruited over. And Creighton was on their way to the Big East. That was their first year in the Big East was my redshirt year, or the second year was my redshirt year. That was the first year you were gone, I believe.
Yeah, because I remember you coming on your visit, and I remember playing with you in open gym and, showing you the city and all that stuff. So I definitely remember that.
Right. So when I flew down, this is what made me commit, because Creighton was my first visit. And I hadn't talked to many schools at that point, but I was getting the calls. And they showed me the plane, which was love. It had the gear on the plane. It was a private jet. I'm like, okay. But I'm thinking every school is going to have these things, right? So I go to the gym. I'm thinking every school now at this level that I'm trying to go to is going to have private jets. They're going to have 10,000 fans. And we walk in the gym and Coach Max says 18,000. I'm like, 18,000 people. That's a lot of, that's more than some NBA teams, right? Like, how do you say no to that, right? Right. So as I'm on my way, so I go see the gym, and they had like a horse race on or something. Just saw. So as we were going to Coach Mack's office in Championship Center, which wasn't done yet, floors were still up, not being built. I see Doug, right? So I see Doug on the way up. Me and Doug have a 2-minute convo. He says, listen, if you kill this, and he calls him Greg. I was like, why are you calling him Greg? That's your dad. You call him Greg. He said, listen, if you come here and play for Greg, Omaha will give you the keys to the city. You will be on the billboards and the buses. And as a kid from Philly, like that is something very intriguing to hear that from the player of the year, a guy who's 3,000 points, like about to go to the NBA. This is something that I was believing in. So the last thing that made me commit was He took me to his office and he played my highlight tape. But every 3 clips, it was 3 clips of Austin, and it was 3 clips of me right after.
Yeah.
3 clips of Austin, 3 clips of me. And he says, listen, look at what I can do for you. And I mean, Austin was shooting threes and he was so fast. And I mean, just everything Austin was doing. And he said, listen, you can do the same things in this offense and I will give you the freedom to do it. And I thought Austin at that time was one of the best point guards in the Big East. I mean, from the Valley for sure, but definitely in the Big East. And, you know, I looked at my mom, my dad, and I asked Coach Mack if I could wear number 10. And he said, I could wear number 10.
Grant Gibbs is gone. Go ahead, take
Grant
it.
Gibbs is gone. He said, listen, you got it. And, you know, my dad was like, I know my son. I knew you were going to commit. And my mom is like, no, you're far, but this is what you want to do. This is what you want to do. And, you know, Coach Mack playing the highlight tape video, not letting me see how he could put me in these situations was really the thing that made me want to come to see you.
So I know the type of person you are. I know the type of competitor you are. I see it every day in practice now. And I heard about those things before. You know, you were on one of my favorite teams to watch, but how crucial was that redshirt year for you? Because I know you want to step in and, you know, get to your craft and show the people what you're all about right away. But obviously NCAA rules makes it so that a transfer has to sit out for 1 year. So during that redshirt year, how difficult was it for you to just not strap on a jersey and just try to sneak your way onto the court every day?
I might have tried to get every waiver in the book at that point to get cleared. But I learned a lot that year, man. And I mean, like at Boston, I partied a lot. I mean, I went out all the time. And I kind of told the line of basketball and partying. I can be honest about that, right? Like, so I wasn't in the gym as much as I should have been, and my jumper wasn't progressing the way it should have. But even just seeing that the guys on the team weren't responding to me the way I thought they should have. Older guys like Ricky and Will, and, you know, these guys were like, listen, we don't see you putting the work in every day. So we know you're not playing, but you're not putting the work in every day. So that was one thing that was like, if I don't put the work in, these guys aren't going to follow me. That was one of the first things I've learned. And they're not going to treat me with respect if I'm kind of, you know, I can be bossy. I can kind of be like, listen, do this my way or the highway. Kind of
you can get moody. I get a
little attitude. I get upset. Moody is a good word for it, right? And, you know, I wasn't holding myself to that standard, but I was trying to hold everyone else to that standard. And that was one thing I learned that year, was to really put the work in. We were 0-8 to start the Big East that year, and we lost a lot of games by 2, 3. And I'm like, when I play, we have to be able to win these games by that. So I started to get extra work in with D-Rock, and I mean, 3-hour practice with Mac, and then 45-minute redshirt workout after with Ronnie and Leon. Just getting extra work in. So I mean, hearing the fans yelling my name as I'm coming out, like, hey man, waiting for you to play next year. Seeing how wild that crowd got from the bench, that was so tough, just sitting on the bench. I remember we beat Oklahoma, and I was on the bench, and I was just like, you know, seeing that you guys beat Oklahoma on the comeback with Buddy Hield on the team, and you know, just those things were just amazing. So that first year, I had to really learn to lock in. I had to learn to stay in some weekends. I had to learn to really put my craft first. So, you know, still have fun, but really put your craft first is what I learned my redshirt year. And I've kind of carried that over now, is that if I want to pull you with me, I have to be the one to show you what it is. And I really thank those guys who I didn't like. I would say I didn't like them back then. That's what I would say.
Right.
Because they weren't receiving me how I thought I should be received. But now as I'm older and I'm as a pro, I thank them. I thank the guys from my redshirt year that left, because those guys kind of helped mold me into a better leader by action and not just by my words.
I mentioned in the open that like you had an immediate impact right after that redshirt year, because you led the team in scoring, you led the team in assists, you led into an NIT, which, you know, after the year that they just had, where you just mentioned they started 0-8, 0-9, I think, in the Big East. It was a rough year. Like me as a fan, that was my first year playing pro overseas. I was in Romania, staying up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, watching those games and watching all those nail-biters that we were losing that year.
And just seeing the vibe in the locker room was terrible, bro. I mean, it was every day it was like someone died in there, and we knew we were good. I mean, we were working hard every day, and I mean, At one point, I thought it was my fault because, you know me, I talk a lot of trash, and we would be scout team. You know how scout team goes. Like, if I'm Kellen Dunham for that day, I might score 50 that day because Coach Mack is like, every time you touch it, shoot. And I'm talking trash. You know, this is why we're 0-6 because you can't guard me. Like, these are things that, you know, and I'm trying to help the team. And the vibe, I had to kind of scale back with how much trash I was talking because, like, you know, I've been around guys like at Boston, guys love basketball. Where I'm like in my high school, guys love basketball, but that wasn't what they did. Like, they went to school to do other things, or basketball kind of kept them out the way. But here at Creighton, it was like we eat, sleep, and breathe this game, and it affects us. So that mentality right there was something that you don't see much from losing teams. But that year, I learned how to eat, sleep, and breathe basketball, good or bad.
Right. So seeing that immediate impact that you had, turning that team that, you know, had lost so many close games into an NIT team, I think you guys ended up losing in the round of six or the Sweet 16, the NIT version of the Sweet 16 to BYU.
We beat Wagner. Yeah, we beat Wagner and we beat Alabama, and then we lost to BYU
lost to BYU. Right. And I remember watching that game because that was Jeff Grossell's last game, and I was kind of sad for him because I know him so well. He's one of my homies. I've seen all the injuries he had gone through. So I was very attentive of that whole season because of just specifically. And then obviously you were just like, man, you just blew off the screen essentially. Talk about like how good it felt, not only to be playing as a full-time participant, as a Creighton basketball member, but also, you know, that first time you play in CenturyLink and you actually start to get all these feels that Coach Mack was talking about on your visit. Talk to me about like how good that felt to finally be back on the court and playing some meaningful games.
Kind of to be back to play, I mean, it's the best feeling because what you love to do, what you work hard to do. You just were off the scene for a year, so you're excited to show things that you've learned. But to be back into the environment of CenturyLink as the first game, it kind of scares you a little bit. You know what I mean? Like just coming and seeing all the fans, and you see the kids who are 6 and 7 and 4 to the older people who are 75 and 76 who have known Creighton history. You immediately want to be a part of that. You immediately want to, you know, you see all the things that Coach was saying in the recruiting pitch actually come true. When you hear a lot about coaches lying and coaches not being real, not being honest. And then for Coach Mack to put me in the situation that he said he would put me in, I knew that it would be up to me to make the most out of that. But to actually have some success, it shows that if you really do the things right, you have to trust people. You have to trust your teammates. It can't be all about you. And to play for something bigger than yourself. So I was always playing for the name on the front. I mean, on the back. But really knowing that you can be a part of this Creighton legacy, this legacy of there's no NBA team here. So it's really Creighton is what is known in Omaha. So to be a part of that legacy, I mean, I wanted to be a household name as bad as anything I've ever wanted to do at the time. So I was happy that, you know, everyone was enjoying how I was playing, but it's also very easy to get content and to settle because they're loving you and they're cheering for you. Whether you win or lose, they have your back. They're not talking down on you when you lose. They're not hating on you. They're just pumping you. So it's easy to get content and settle because, okay, I feel some success. I have some fans. I feel this. But when you have success, I've learned that through success, it makes me want it more because that feeling is unmatched. And to get the love of Creighton, I mean, even today, I tweet one thing, Creighton, and many people are tweeting. Many people are remembering those times. And playing in front of those fans, I have been chasing that high.
You're not gonna get it here, bro. I'm an 8-year pro. You're gonna get it here. You could EuroLeague and all that stuff, maybe, but
I don't
our
know.
fans are they're different.
I mean, even this gym that we're playing in, this gym that we're playing now is beautiful. It's huge. You can test it. It's huge, but it only fits 6,000.
Right.
So it makes me put in perspective of how big CenturyLink was.
Yeah.
You can't even fill this up. And that was filled up every night. Rain, sleet, hail, snow, anything. It was at least 16, 17,000 in there. And I think that right there is something that I will always treasure. And I'll always chase that high. Even though I'll never think I'll be able to catch it.
Listen, if you're a fan of this podcast, you've definitely heard me say this 1,000 times. You are a part of basically my favorite team to watch so far. Your senior year with you, with JP, with Kyrie, with Marcus. Like I kept saying, and the rest of the gang. I know I'm missing on some names, but the whole gang, that team was just such a deep unit, and you guys really worked well together. Unfortunately for you, it came short because of your injuries, right? Um, but I remember like every night that you would tune in, some crazy could happen. It could be a
Yeah,
steal,
some crazy could
transition
happen.
alley oop, like it could be like a set play where Coach Mack would set a back screen for Taz or for Marcus to go back door and get an alley oop dunk. Or it would just be, simple pick and roll with you,
Just
orchestrating the offense and finding JP. Talk to me about like JP kind of came out of nowhere, like he redshirted that year before, right? And
right.
he comes in, he earns the starting spot, and he just explodes onto the scene. And not only did his game improve, but obviously like Taz improved tremendously. I mean, Foster's a bucket. No one's you can
Yeah.
only contain him for so long. So talk to me about how much that team improved in that short summer leading into your senior year.
Um, Man, that was definitely like I mean that year was really a special year. It was only 19 games, but it felt like 100. And if you remember, that was Marcus's first year playing after transferring in, and I had left. I declared for the draft without an agent, so I wasn't even sure that I was going to come back.
Right.
But when I did come back, we started to really work. And to be honest, the team took Marcus's identity,
Mhm.
and Marcus was a I don't care, trash talking type of person always. So I felt like Coach Mack's best thing he did that year was he embraced the trash talk. He let us trash talk. Unless there were kids
Mhm.
in the gym, we had to scale it back, but he let us trash talk. So I mean, Justin would go up and have a dunk, and Marcus would come in like, that's soft dunk. You ain't even dunk on him. And like, so when we're chilling afterwards, all you hear is, "Oh, I had 20." Yeah, but you only had two. You only had two dunks. You only had no threes. And like these things, I mean, like I'm like, even like now, like Ronnie will send a dunk in the group chat, and Marcus would be like, "That was a rim grader package." You know what I mean? And it's like, all right,
Right.
bet. Wait to the next one. And just taking over that identity, it was, I don't care, right? It was, um, we put the work in. It was, we played one-on-one every day after practice. So we were just super, super, super competitive. And we told ourselves, if we could beat Wisconsin, we're going to go on a run. And once we beat Wisconsin, I think we had so much of it was just so much confidence. I mean,
I
Justin
mean,
needed
the
an
way
identity,
that the way
right?
that Wisconsin game ended, even like it was just crazy for Taz to get that steal, get that N1
And
dunk
then,
at the very end of it. But just before that was the JP transition dunk where he basically back scratched that.
you know what that reminds you
Man,
of? That reminds you of when you're in the outside court by yourself and
mhm.
you're doing something unrealistic. Get a steal, Rob dunk. Get a steal, Rob dunk. Get a steal, three from half. It was like unrealistic things were happening, and this was, we were. This is how we played. Like I remember one day we were trying to figure out an identity for Justin, right? Like just trying to figure out how to get him something. And Marcus was always playing Future uh, videos or his interviews, and just this rock star lifestyle, like just being a rock
Yeah.
star, being like, so Justin kind of adapted that identity. And when he adapted that identity, bro, it was
Yeah.
amazing to see, man. It was amazing to see. And we just kind of went out there and played and tried to treasure every moment. And Coach Mack, I mean, even playing for Coach Mack, I mean, a lot of things that get lost up in this is us wanting to run through a wall for Coach Mack.
Mhm.
I mean, Coach Mack could do anything. He would do anything for us. He would do anything to help us succeed. And when you talk about that great team, but it rarely gets talked about how we were running through a wall for Coach Mack. And we did that, and everything he said, we held to his word
Mhm.
as Bond. And the things he said, the plays he ran, we ran to perfection because we trusted him that much, on and off the court. I mean, there were times that and these things you don't see. Like I said, I mean, we didn't like the cafeteria food at all. So Coach Mack said, "Hey, if y'all put up 500 shots a day for 6 weeks, I'll get y'all J-Bucks." He got us $400 with the J-Bucks after we completed that tab. We were going to Java Day. We were going to Scud. I mean, we were just eating great.
Right.
Chick-fil-A before every plane ride. I mean, getting some gear, getting some sneakers. Doug coming back, giving, helping out, and you coming back. And I remember you joined whenever. I was upset at you for this, but you joined.
Let's hear it.
You joined one of our workouts, and after you left, you didn't hear this, but you might have. Mac went off on us because you talk and you communicate, and we didn't. So he might have went off. You guys are effing soft. You guys don't even know how to talk. This dude don't even play for us no more. He comes in, he talks, he dives on the floor. He's taking charges. I can't get Maurice to take a charge. I'm like, I don't want to see him no more. Keep my elbow working.
I can't turn it off, bro. That is one thing that I learned from Coach Mac. Like you talked about running into a wall for Coach Mac. I remember my freshman year. I might have said this on the podcast a couple of times, but I don't remember. I've done enough of these episodes where I don't quite remember everything that I've said on here. But there was one time my freshman year, I just had a regular day. It wasn't like a day where I was just like how I am now, where I'm happy all the time, smiling all the time. I learned to behave that way basically because of Coach Mac. But I was just having what you would deem to be a regular day. I went to school, I came back, I was tired, I had lunch, we had practice, we had study hall. Coach Mac calls me into his office the next day and he goes, hey, is everything okay? Like, is everything at home good? I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, what's up? What's going on? He's like, you can't have a day like you had yesterday. And in my mind, I'm just like, I didn't do anything wrong yesterday. He's like, no, like the players around you, your teammates, your friends, they see it on your face when things aren't good and it affects them. And he basically, essentially he said something along the lines of like, you can't have a bad day, meaning.
It sounds like deja vu to me.
Right, meaning like your teammates are going to feed off of your energy and all that stuff. So like if you have a bad day, then we're not worth anything because like you.
Did you think that was unfair?
No, because I played with my AU coach. Shout out to Coach Waterman, man. He was such a hard ass, and like he always got on my case about like the power of being a leader, and he understood that like the way that I present myself, a lot of people are going to gravitate towards that as well. So he always, whenever he got after me and I was upset with him, he'd always say like, forget about how I delivered the message. What was the message though? So like, whenever Coach Mac said anything to me, I never even thought twice about it. I was just like, okay, so but what did the message actually mean?
I thought at first hearing it, I said, Coach Mac, these guys want it as bad as I do. Why is it that when I come in a bad mood, they're in a bad mood? Why is it that when I come in and I'm not talking, they can't pick it up? And, he said, I can't explain it, but it's not many people who have that gift. It's not many people who have that natural follow. And I think that also something I've learned over maybe the last 2-3 years is that, was I a good leader growing up because I was a good leader, or was I a good leader because everyone told me I was?
Right.
And I felt like up until that year at Creighton, my senior year on, I don't think I was a good leader because I was being a good leader. I think I was a good leader because I was the best player. And I told the line of getting in trouble and not. Told the line of doing the right things and not. Being low key and not. So I think now it's intentional that I'm intentionally being a leader. And I just talked about this last night. And I said, look, I mean, it's very hard when I have to come in and take a deep breath after coach says something that annoys me. Okay, these guys are going to follow. You have to come and have a good day. You have to come in and laugh. You have to come in and pump these guys up. Coach, just maybe like 2 weeks ago, coach might have said, he didn't play. There was a game. He didn't play Sam. I think it might be your first game, I think. And I don't think that he anticipated you having the impact that that you had, even though you didn't play the game you went to 3 days off the plane. But he didn't play Sammy in the second half at all.
Right.
And he kind of said, hey, Sam, I got the back. So I went after that. I was like, listen, bro, it's nothing against you. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, we have a vet now. We have a guy who's like, you have to learn from him, and I have your back. And I think those are the things. Like, listen, I don't worry about that. When you get back in there, kill. And you see, yep, last night or 2 nights ago, he had the biggest three of the fourth quarter when he got in there. And that's when I feel like, okay, that was me being a good leader, is when times are rough. Going to talk to somebody and, even asking questions. Like I told you, like I've been in your ear, like we've been texting a lot, where I just let you know, like, bro, how can I, how can I do this? And I was even telling my wife driving to Warsaw yesterday is that I didn't know how cool of a person you were because we would never around each other as much. And then when we were together, it was like we were going out because you were only there for a little bit of time.
Couple
Or you
months,
were
yeah.
a little bit of time. Yeah, you weren't there a lot, and or I was hanging out with my guys, you were hanging out with your guys. But now I say it's only been 3 weeks, but now I see why everyone gravitates to you the way you do, because even like us being roommates on the road, you are about your business. You come in, you have your music, you have your shower, you lay down, you have your movie. Bro, I'm going to sleep. Like you are about business, and I was telling my wife, I told my wife all this stuff yesterday. Like, I have to pick this stuff up. You have your extension cord. Like, you are prepared, and it goes off the court, but it also goes on the court. So I brought a pair of sneakers to the game yesterday, and it ripped.
Yeah.
And I see you get off the bus with 2 pair, and I'm like,
you never know, bro. Look, I saw from Manu Ginobili years back when he busted that shoe, and then when Zion and Williamson, not obviously that I'm like the size of Zion and Williamson, but when I saw him do that, I'm like, yo, you're never gonna catch me slipping with just one pair. Every game I go to, I got 2 pairs ready. One ripped, the other one's ready to go. But I mean, you'll learn, bro. It comes from being a pro.
Yeah. You said I'm gonna teach you how to be a pro.
I'm talking shit right now, but you know these things already. Stop.
Yeah, but
you know these things.
Said, man, you said, bro, I'm gonna teach you how to be a pro. Watch. Okay.
Hey, I'm glad that you mentioned that. But about the pro game compared to the college game, that's definitely a question I wanted to ask you, because I mean, I read off some of your stats in the Open. You are absolutely killing out here, and I hate that I'm your teammate and I'm kind of like gushing over these stats. But look, I gotta let the people know the last couple of games that you've had: 10 points, 12 assists, 22 points, 12 assists, 25 points, 14 assists, 21 points, 13 assists. Overall in the season so far, you're averaging 16 and a half and 10 assists. What is the difference between the pro game and the college game in your opinion, and why is it that you've been able to adjust not only so well, but also like your assist levels have gone up a notch as well? So what is it that you see on the floor as a pro that maybe you didn't see as a college student and athlete? Or is it maybe perhaps because you don't have to be a student right now, that you could just strictly focus on the pro game?
Well, I mean, as you can hear in the back, I have kids. Like I
the boys.
I got married. I got married, and I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I have to. I mean, this is more work than college, to be honest. But it's them, honestly. It's really my wife and my kids, because I asked my wife to quit her job and to come travel the world with me. And when I'm not playing well, or when I know that affects my job, and I didn't have the best season in Italy, and it affected me getting a good job last year. It affected me getting the money I wanted to make. So I mean, in college, I would prefer that, because you're trying to get there. Like,
right.
This being a pro, it's harder to keep the money than it is to get there to make the money, in my opinion. So now it's like with the college game, I mean, you have schemes, it's not so much detailed as it is. Like and maybe it's just playing for Coach Mack, but our film sessions were extremely detailed. Our practices were extremely detailed, but it was very free flowing. Since I've been in Poland, I have been the mindset of this could be my last game. I went through some stuff in college with my injury, and there's some off the court troubles that I realized that this game could be taken away from you. And then I was still able to become a pro through all my adversities. And then after last year with COVID, if you weren't an elite player, you weren't getting a job last year. And whether it was for little money, big money, or whatever, it was like the game can go. Like, this is the second time in the last 6 years that the game could have been taken away from me. So every day I have to step out on that court, I guess my last. So I think the reason I'm having so much success in Poland is that I'm finally in a place that I'm enjoying it. Like, I have guys like Aaron, I have guys like Didi, who are good vets. Where my last teams, I had vets tell me don't talk to him because I was a rookie, so I can go to them for advice. And then you come right in and I can follow your energy. So when I'm down, you're okay. 12 is going, I got to go. James is going, I got to go. So I have guys that I want to, definitely want to play with. And I have guys that are working hard. I mean, every day, everyone is working out extra. Every day, someone's lifting or getting shots up. So I feel so much confidence to give them the ball. Out of all those stats that you just read, I have not once had a guy on this team look at me and turn me down, passing me the ball. I have not had a guy come to me and say, yo, you got to pass the ball. You're getting too many numbers. You know what I'm saying? So I have guys come to me like, yo, keep shooting. 12 assists, 14 assists. Like, we do this off of you. So, I mean, feeling like everyone supports me no matter the success, it allows me to just go out there and play. And, like I told you before, every day I'm getting my shots up. When my wife and kids were in Italy, I wasn't staying every day. I wanted to rush home. Now I'm still coming early. I'm still getting extra lifts in. I'm still getting my shots up after practice. So my preparation is a lot better. I'm really watching a lot more film. So, I mean, I believe God has put me in the best position now to really take off with my career. And I mean, hearing those stats is like, those are like video game numbers, bro. And I don't even notice during
For
this
real,
game.
though. That's like Rondo prime Celtics Rondo.
Yeah, bro. And I'm like, I don't even notice I have 20 points. I might have a quarter where I just might score 8 or 9 points, but I try to get 4 points a quarter. So that's 16. If I can get 16 points, a game, that'd be okay. But, my biggest thing now is trying to be consistent and to show the guys from the city, from where we come from, and to be honest, I want to lead the kids of Omaha too because of my ties there. I have my first camp there this summer. I go back all the time, despite whatever I went through there. And they're my second home. They're guys I want to lead. So the youth of Philly and the youth of Omaha, where I'm actually involved in those communities, where I have obligations to go back, obligations to talk to these kids. I'm in communication with these kids and their parents and their families, that this can be done no matter what happens. And I think it's more so of just that, bro. I mean, anything else, and having good people around me right now at this point is what's pushing me. And even now, I've had a rough couple games, and I don't feel like I'm in a slump. I don't feel like I'm in a drought. I feel like I'm doing my job still as a point guard because we're winning. And so, I mean, just trying to embrace this and show that I am that elite player where I can get myself involved and other people involved if you give me the chance, and changing the narrative of what people think about me and the things that I've been through. So I'm just really have an AI mentality of play every game like it's your last. You can easily get a little big headed. And I think coming out of Creighton, I think I was that way. Being on the draft board a little bit, leading the country in assists, everybody pumping you and telling you what it is. It became why am I not getting this when I am who I am, as opposed to I ain't nobody.
Right.
Let me just put my head down and work. And that's the biggest change I've made in my career, is to really humble myself and know that this can go. Like tomorrow, it can go, bro. And I want to be able to say that I gave my all, and everyone around me can enjoy playing with me. They know that my intentions were pure. And I think that's what I'm kind of going through right now. And it's leading to success on the court. So I'm trying to stick with that, with that formula.
I hear the kids in the background. I know they're begging for you to go back and be a dad. Before I let you go, I got obligatory questions that I ask every former Creighton athletes that step onto the podcast with me. First, favorite place to play in the Big East aside from obviously CenturyLink, aka Chi Health Center now. Oh, you're taking a long time to answer this one.
Providence.
I thought you were gonna say Villanova. Easy, you're going back to the crib.
Yeah, I love Villanova. I love that game. I did love that game.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the game more at Creighton than I did at Nova. We didn't play in the Wells Fargo. We played in the Pavilion.
Yeah.
But Providence, I always enjoy Providence games. I also enjoy St. John's games too. So I would say Providence would be one. Okay, my top 3 in order.
There it is.
Providence, Xavier, and St. John.
Gotcha.
Providence,
all right.
Xavier, St.
John. In countries so far, what's your favorite country to play in so far?
Poland.
Poland, where you're at right now?
Where I'm at right now. I mean, the fans are great. I mean, the arena is great. We have a nice car. I mean, the city is nice. The food is good. And I would never think that I would like Poland more than Italy. But I mean, Poland is a really good place. It's a good place for my family as well. And I like this competition. I mean, this competition is sneakily tough. People wouldn't expect it to be tough. It's sneakily tough.
Mm-hmm. And last question. After a 10-month hiatus of being back away from Philly, what is the first meal that you get when you land?
Chick-fil-A.
Okay, all right. So that puts you in with Justin Carter, Will Artino.
Right in the airport.
It might have been Jeffrey Grossell who said Chick-fil-A as well. I don't remember, but I know a couple of guys who've been on the podcast that said it. Yeah.
You get Auntie Annie's. Chick-fil-A and Auntie Anne's pretzel.
Yeah.
As you're leaving the airport.
Yeah.
Fresh off the plane in the airport. And then I go to Philly, I might grab me a cheesesteak or something like that. But,
of course. Had to be.
Yeah,
had to be.
The
last Auntie Anne's I had was from leaving Chicago, going back to Ottawa this past summer. I was in Chicago. We had a layover. I looked at Auntie Anne's. I was like, yep, I'm in there.
That's where I'm going.
I'm Canadian, so you know I got to get a poutine first.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. What's the biggest difference? I mean, because you're from Canada, right?
Yeah.
But you said your mom is from Haiti.
Yeah.
Have you been to Haiti?
Of course, when I was 10, 11 years old.
Okay, so seeing how you are now as a person, seeing how in Haiti, as if you can remember how it was, how your mom grew up, or how she told you as you were going through Haiti, seeing your family members there, and then coming back and still being from a place that many people that you are associated with are not from. Like, you come back, you go to Ottawa, but then you come and you spend your summers sometimes in Omaha. You have a lot of guys that are from Philly and Minnesota and, Iowa. But then you go back to Canada and you have to be able to adapt to different cultures. And now you're also doing that. How easier does that make it for you to be able to adjust? Because I have a hard time adjusting sometimes to different cultures, trying to embrace it. Like I'm trying to embed myself in it. So how does it make it easier for you to kind of go to these countries now, knowing that?
I mean, that's a really good question. And usually I'm the host. I ask all the questions. I'll have my guests asking me questions. No, that's a really no, I know. I got you. That's a really good question because I don't know. In the household that I grew up in, my parents always taught me to be kind of open to other cultures. Obviously, Canada is like a super big melting pot. So even going like to middle school and high school, obviously, like as you mature and you grow older, the friends that you make, I just kind of looked at my friends group and I had a bunch of people who were, Arab and Lebanese and, Somalian and Congolese. And, so I had a whole bunch of people who from many different cultures who were in my friend group. And that is because my parents had always taught me to just kind of treat everybody as if they're your own, And so I have a pretty open mind about cultures and different things of that nature. Like I remember the first time I was in Romania, it's kind of a funny story. It's one of my favorite stories from when I was in Romania. The gym that we played at was right next to a gas station, right? So like I would go across the street before practice if I got there early, and maybe I get like an energy drink if I'm feeling like tired that day or whatever the case may be. So I went across the street, went to the gas station, got an energy drink. I'm checking out at the counter. There was a lady behind me with like maybe a 2-year-old daughter holding her hand, right? And I would think nothing of it, but that 2-year-old was looking at me like she had never seen anybody to look like me before. And like I remember that being like the first moment where it clicked, like just like, oh, that might have been the first time she would have seen like a Black person in real life right in front of her, right? So. And like at first I was kind of looking at the daughter all weird because of the way that she was staring at me. But like as I like walked away from that situation, I was just like, oh, like I didn't realize, like I said, like that culture shift for her might have happened that day, the same way that it happened for me when I landed into a new country and like I didn't speak the language. Right. That's what I'm saying. I didn't speak the language, I didn't know their customs and all that stuff. And once you just kind of accept the fact that like nobody is like you, nobody comes from the same background as you do, you have to kind of accept you for who they are, and also have to have an open mind in order to learn and accept different cultures. Well, once that clicks for me, like now it's easy. Now I come into a new situation and my first thought is, how can I affiliate myself with these people and make sure that they understand that I don't think I'm better than them. I don't think that they're better than me. We're all one people and we're all trying to get along on this planet. So
yeah.
Yeah,
Nah, that, but
that's just the way that I kind of go about it. And I got to thank my parents for the way I was raised. Obviously, I'm the youngest of four. So my two older brothers, my older sister, they deserve a lot of credit for just allowing me to have an open mind growing up. And that's helped me a lot throughout my life.
yeah, but that's gonna help a lot of people who watch this.
Mhm.
Because I mean
You just,
that's the biggest thing is having a hard time of adjusting, and because you don't even want to be over here for that long. Not that you don't like their
right.
country, but you just not in yours. So now it's like, how can I, make this as easy as possible? And like even at dinner tonight, I mean, I'm at dinner and like they love my kids here, so they just stare. And I mean,
Yeah.
they don't even, they look at you like this or turn around, and I'm like, why are you staring? But they're smiling and they're conversing.
Right.
But in America, it's not like that. It's a little bit like, don't be staring at me like that. But here you have to embrace sometimes that they're not being rude. They're just, they see happy kids and they're fascinated with with seeing us. And that's something I've had to say, listen, let them stare for a little bit, don't make it too uncomfortable. But this is just their culture and I have to embrace that sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It can be difficult. It can be difficult sometimes, but you just have to, obviously think about it in a different way and just kind of cast the right judgment, I would say, when it comes to people. Obviously, you with children, it might be a different story. You're a little bit more overprotective than me just being here by myself, obviously, right? But
right.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of times curiosity might not be the worst thing. It could
Might
be
not be the
people
worst
just
thing.
being curious more than anything, as opposed to like being discriminatory, which is kind of like what we're used to when we're back in the States or in Canada.
Right.
Like I'm from Canada. I'm not ever gonna say that we don't have our own issues when it comes to, race or whatever the case may be. But
Right. I mean, that's
I
everywhere you go.
do understand what it looks like, right? When people just
Yep.
stare at people who look like us and are either wanting to cause trouble or whatever the case may be. But I feel like over here, more than anything, it's been more curiosity than anything else. And I just allow that to just roll off my shoulders, I guess. Bro, I
Yeah.
gotta say, I appreciate you taking some time
I
out. I
appreciate you,
know
bro.
it's a Sunday night. I gotta see you in about 12 hours
12 hours
for practice in the morning.
Lift piece.
Yeah, but dude, I appreciate you, bro. I've been meaning to get you on the podcast for quite some time. I'm happy that we figured it out. Any
Yeah, I've been
last words that you
watching.
want to say to Creighton Nation before you get out of here?
Man, I'm excited for this year. I'm excited to still be able to come back to Omaha and have the respect of the kids and the family. So there'll be a lot more things that I'm going to do in the city to get back to the youth, to really help them avoid situations that I went through, avoid situations that we all kind of go through, and kind of help shift that narrative about all of us. So I mean, look forward to some projects that me and you going to even team up and do some stuff in Omaha. So just looking forward to getting back there. So I mean, they'll see I have some stuff coming up soon, but I'm embedded in that community, and I'm looking forward to coming back.
Let's get it, man. Look, I got to get back to this Colts game, but like I said, I
Yes, sir.
appreciate
Yes,
you.
sir.
For the
right,
rest
bro. I'll
of
see
you
you in the morning.
listening, make sure to like and subscribe to the Field of 68 Media Network. For other guys, I represent their alma maters just like I'm doing. This was another Welcome to the J episode with my guy Maurice Watson Jr, aka WAP. Appreciate you, bro. I'm gonna see you in the morning, though. I'm gonna check on you.
All right, I'll see you in the morning, Brody.
Yes, sir. Go Jays as always.
Yes, sir.